Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, Good Yontif. It's a synagogue tradition for the temple president to speak on the high holidays. And in this case, you get to hear from a brand new president. But let me say how good it is for us all to be together. I'd like to extend a special welcome to the over 200 families that have joined Shalom during the time Rabbi Noah has served as our senior rabbi. If this is your first high holidays at Shalom or your 60th, please know that the Shalom family welcomes everyone. I hope the sanctuary is, or soon will be for those of you who are new members, a familiar and comfortable place even as we embark on the days of awe, a time when we're compelled to confront the uncomfortable. Our shortcomings, our failures, our mistakes, our humanity. I've always found that personal growth comes from the ability to become comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And perhaps Judaism provides these days of awe for just that reason. Let me take you back to the summer of love, 1969. Rabbi Harry, pastor of blessed memory, is the senior rabbi of our congregation. How many of you remember Rabbi Pastor? I think about him often. I can hear his voice in the sanctuary. So I had not yet started my first year of Hebrew school back in 1969. So it's fair to say I was very much at the start of my Shalom journey. I was in launch mode, or maybe better yet, pre-launch mode. And speaking of launch mode, in July of that year, of course, the first astronauts landed on the moon in a place evocatively named the Sea of Tranquility, if you remember that. And as a kid, I loved big words. I still do, and I thought tranquility was such a wondrous word, and it was the key component of that most poetic of names, the Sea of Tranquility. And while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the unfamiliar terrain of the moon that summer, I landed in Newport, Rhode Island, in the unfamiliar sanctuary of the historic Touro Synagogue, the oldest synagogue in the continental United States. And if I'm being totally honest, I felt out of place in that Orthodox shul. The entire experience was as foreign, uncomfortable, and bewildering to me as the lunar surface. The men sat downstairs, or more accurately, they stood downstairs, davening, praying all at once, speaking over each other. People walked up and down from the bima in no particular order. The experience conjured up the noise and confusion of the Tower of Babel. In one congregant, an elderly gentleman next to me davening impatiently flipped the pages of my siddur as I could not for the life of me figure out where we were in the Hebrew text. My mother sat upstairs, of course, with the other women, and it was hours before we were reunited. And it was the first time that I realized how much I missed the easy familiarity of our dear Rabbi Pastor and Shalom's comfortable, welcoming, and by comparison, orderly style of worship. But success in so many endeavors is a result of learning to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, even if discomfort comes from sitting in an unfamiliar synagogue or taking on new challenges likely to be fraught with a degree of frustration and hardship. And as I reflect on that summer long ago in Rhode Island and on the lunar landing on the Sea of Tranquility, I'm reminded of George Washington, actually another brand new president, come to think of it, who 233 years ago, almost to this date, wrote a letter of reply to the 25 Jewish families in Newport, Rhode Island, then the largest Jewish community in the 13 colonies. The congregation had previously written George Washington, congratulating him on ascending to the new presidency, and they understandably wondered just how this new nation might treat its Jews. President Washington's reply is taken from the prophet Micah, though I think many of us will recognize the words from the musical Hamilton by Lin-Manuel Miranda. George Washington wrote to the Jews, he said, "May the children of the stock of Abraham," that's us, the Jews, he was poetic, "may the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. Such a compelling vision for our country, that we might enjoy the tranquility of sitting under our own vine and fig tree. It's a vision of peace and contentment that is the reward of a life well lived. And it is in this spirit that I want to recognize as well Linda Hollifield, who has served as a Shalom trustee, temple president, and our executive director for over 12 years. As she looks forward to spending more time with her family, I hope you will join me in wishing her a retirement replete with the tranquility that comes from sitting under her own vine and fig tree. Linda, you have served Shalom with skill, sincerity of purpose, and with love, and we are very, very grateful to you. So why did I choose to become temple president? Another president, Theodore Roosevelt, probably said it best: far and away the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. And serving Shalom seems to me very much work worth doing. We're the largest synagogue in Wisconsin and a locomotive force for good in our city, our state, and indeed the world. And since inception, some 70 years ago, we've been blessed with a singularly talented clergy. We have a marvelous and industrious staff, including our Director of Congregational Learning and our educators. Our religious school enrollment is larger than any other synagogue in Wisconsin, and we are a synagogue of choice for many young families seeking to affiliate with a Jewish congregation. And you, our congregants, I'm honored to work with so many talented and deeply caring individuals and stand in awe of the accomplishment of all our members and the manner in which you incorporate Jewish ethics in all your professional and personal endeavors. Indulge me for a moment. Might those of you who currently serve on the Board of Trustees please stand up and remain standing. And might those of you who formerly served as trustees also stand. And might those of you who serve or have served on temple committees please stand. Those who roast the chickens for St. Ben, sort food at Hunger Task Force, tutor at ONG, volunteer at everything from temple outreach to search committees, Voices for Justice, our book club, our gift store, our choir. Stand. Our clergy, our professional staff, our religious school and Hebrew school educators and tutors, stand. Anyone who has extended extra financial support or endowed an educational event, please stand. And will the families of those who are already standing also stand? Because your support and encouragement make temple service both possible in the first place and a joy. See this picture? Our strength is here. It's in this sanctuary, and it is us. Thank you. Be seated, please. Finally, on this Erev Rosh Hashanah, I want to give voice to Ruth Mayer. Ruth Mayer is a 22-year-old Austrian Jew who fled to Norway and wrote a marvelous but little-known diary, a diary much like Anne Frank's. And while Anne Frank's diary was first published in 1947, Ruth's diary wasn't published until 2007, 60 years later. I'm reading it now, having just learned of Ruth Meyer and her lost diary. Ruth wrote eloquently of isolation and alienation and identity of almost every type. 81 years ago, Ruth was arrested, and the day of her arrest, she was immediately put on a freighter bound for Germany with 740 other Norwegian Jews. Just 5 days later, 5 days, she was sent to the gas chamber in Auschwitz. So in keeping with the complexity of the Jewish experience, the excitement of my first term as president, my first year, it's tempered with the bittersweet memory of Ruth Mayer, author of a less famous but equally poignant diary. So we must give voice. Shalom is a place both of memory and enthusiasm. And to me, hard and happy are not mutually exclusive. To the contrary. I promise you this. I welcome your thoughts and suggestions and promise to weigh them carefully and endeavor always to do the very best for Shalom. And I invite you to sit with me from time to time in an unfamiliar sanctuary, at least metaphorically, lest we accept our opinions without question, unless we take ourselves and our positions too seriously. I wish you all a good year, a year of peace. L'Shana Tova.
Steve, that was magnificent. And when we think about that moment where humanity landed on the moon, it happened because of people of vision. When John F. Kennedy stood and said, "We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard." It reflected the courage of conviction, as well as the talented leadership of someone who could see the potential future. And Steve, you are just like that. And what a joy it is to share the bima and leadership with you. Our cup truly is overflowing with blessing. We are now going to turn to the Kiddush, which can be found on page 78. And as Steve is going to lead us in this beautiful reading expressing joy of our cups overflowing. Page 78.
Lift this cup for the year that is gone, for mountaintop moments and the taste of joy, celebrations shared, milestones met, all we've mastered and achieved since last we met. For wedding rings, tears, and kisses under the chuppah, new babies, first words, and first steps. For the children who bless our homes and bring life to our community, for b'nai mitzvah and confirmands, young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love. For beloved wives and husbands and sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year. For this community, which nourishes us all. For all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted and disappointments met with courage. For last moments shared with those we loved and lost. For parents and grandparents whose memories are with us forever, we lift this cup for the year that is gone, for the year that begins. May we meet it in strength, in unity, in hope. We lift life's cup and celebrate survival, so we may sanctify each day that is ours.